Here are 10 theories from the Arkham games. Please follow me on Twitter, I'm trying to get high numbers on there, and subscribe to the channel as well. And let's just start with the first one here. So in Batman Arkham Shadow, we get introduced to a new, very important character in the Batman mythos, Leslie Tompkins. So Leslie is kind of explained in this game, but in case you don't know, generally she is someone who's in Bruce's childhood as someone who helps and raises him in a way. She's the exact same way in this game. It's revealed she shows up after Bruce's parents die, and it's established in the game that she knows Bruce is Batman and that she helps him in his crusade. However, the interesting thing is that in the other Arkham games, we never hear about her, like, never. We get one Easter egg to her and about her health clinic in Arkham City, but as far as I know, we never get a name drop of her or anything. So that's where the theory comes in, and the theory is that she dies at some point between Batman Arkham Shadow and Batman Arkham Asylum. She has to be either dead or just not in Gotham City anymore, right? Because, I mean, like in Arkham Knight, for example, Batman accounts for where everyone is and makes sure that his loved ones are safe. We never hear anything about Leslie here. In the other Arkham games, we never hear about her whatsoever as well. So, to me, it seems that Leslie dies at some point after Arkham Shadow. I mean, the evidence here is like me just saying she's never mentioned in the other games, but I mean, she has to be either dead because it'd be weird to not have one name drop of her, right, in the other games, considering how close she is to Bruce and Batman. So yes, I do think she dies at some point after Arkham Shadow. She could also possibly just leave Gotham City, but I don't think she would do that, considering that she lives in Gotham to help better the city. How she dies, though, it's all speculation, no idea. I think it'd be really cool if Two-Face killed her in some follow-up story after Arkham Shadow. I think that would make for a really crazy storyline. Or maybe it could be just some random inmate from Blackgate or some other villain that kills her. Who knows? All speculation, like I said. Maybe they will elaborate on this at some point, but I do believe that Leslie Tompkins will die some point after Batman Arkham Shadow. Okay, so this next theory suggests that the Arkham games take place in the 90s. So, in Batman Arkham City, over near the entrance inside Wonder Tower, there's a sign you can find. The sign has a date of when Arkham City opens. It's in November, but more importantly, it's followed by the number 1, with the other numbers seemingly burned or scratched off. The 1 here implies the year, which, you know, if it's starting with a 1, then it's inferred this year might be set in the 1990s, right? Now, this is pretty cool and pretty interesting. It brings up some implications. I mean, for one, let's say the Arkham games do take place in the 90s. The way Gotham is set up and the aesthetic does scream 90s to me, but on the other hand, there's a lot of tech in the games that's way too advanced for what the 90s had. However, you can easily explain that like in this Arkham universe, they just have that technology in the 90s. It doesn't have to follow how real life tech advanced for us. The Arkhamverse can just have smartphones and high-tech computers in the 90s and stuff, who knows. I don't think the Arkhamverse ever specified a year in which the games take place, so it may very well actually be in the 90s. Maybe they did specify the year at one point, I could be wrong, but if the games do take place in the 90s, it would be interesting. That's what the sign suggests, but that's all there is to the theory. I mean, who knows though? I feel like they'll never touch on this because it's very minute, but maybe they will. We shall see in the future. So this next theory is a bit unconventional. It's the most unconventional one here, but I wanted to discuss it here because it is technically a theory and I don't know where else to really talk about it. So some people have theorized that the Deathstroke inclusion in Arkham Knight was sort of last minute, and that's the reason Deathstroke fell out of place with his boss fight. It was not supposed to be Deathstroke, and instead it was supposed to be a militia commander. Not much to go off of here, but it does make sense if you think about it. WB may have pushed Rocksteady to include Deathstroke due to his maybe popularity in movie inclusions. Like Zack Snyder's Justice League came out a couple years after Arkham Knight and Deathstroke was in that movie as a post-credit scene. So it does make sense from a business standpoint to add Deathstroke in. Also, the Slade in the game is just a reused skin of Arkham Origins, so they didn't really have to do much work on the character. It does feel like due to that, plus Slade's relatively small role in the game, that he felt shoehorned in. Like, think about it. Just having a militia commander, like the guy that's teaching the people in this room how to attack Batman, would have made way more sense, right? Now, this could be completely false. I could just be spewing BS, but I feel like Rocksteady wouldn't just do this to Slade from the start. Maybe they would, but WB does like to push characters in games to promote things like, movies and stuff, like Deadshot being in Injustice 2, for example. Same case could be made here for Slade. I don't know, man, maybe I have a tinfoil hat on right now, but I think it does make sense. Let me know what you think about this one. This next theory suggests that Black Mask and Dr. Young worked together at some point. And this theory further suggests the more, perhaps, malicious side of Dr. Young and helps to support some of the acts she does in the games. So if you notice in Batman Arkham Origins, over at Lacey Towers, near Black Mask's apartment, you can also find Dr. Young's apartment right next to it. It's pretty coincidental to just have two prominent figures like this have rooms on the same floor, like right next to each other, right? So maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe it's not, but it doesn't stop there. Something else that rubs me the wrong way is that in Dr. Young's office in Arkham Asylum, she has Black Mask's mask hanging on her wall. Why would she have Black Mask's mask hanging on her wall? It's a pretty weird detail to just have, right? So the theory is that Young and Black Mask may have worked together at some point or just had some sort of interactions amongst each other, and maybe they had some sort of falling out. It would explain why his mask is hanging off her wall here, maybe as some sort of way to insult Black Mask or show some kind of dominance. Nobody knows. That's all we really get for that, but it is something that could be possible. Even though Young was forced by Joker and Harley throughout the series to perform some pretty evil experiments, there's always been the looming possibility that I always thought that she kind of wanted to do those things, that she is kind of evil. Maybe Black Mask helped her to fund some of these experiments. There's a huge time gap between Batman Arkham Origins and Batman Arkham Asylum. It's definitely not out of the question on what more she could have done in those years. It's maybe a plot point for another prequel Arkham game, considering we never really see Dr. Young in these games. She's actually barely in the series despite being a really important character in the series. So who knows? Maybe we'll see one day. So this theory is very obvious. It might not even be a theory, but I wanted to discuss it. So throughout Arkham Knight, there's Easter eggs that imply that some of DC's heroes actually live in Gotham City or, abide in the city. For example, John Constantine has a spot over on Founders Island. Martian Manhunter is maybe a detective in the city, etc. However, they may have all left due to what Jason Todd says here early on in the story.
You think that's it, Dark Knight? I've got this whole city wired to blow. Try and disarm the explosives, and you'll face even more of my drones. You see, I've waited years. No one is taking this from me. They'll get a charred crater if they try.
Sir, that warning was broadcast publicly. I suspect the Arkham Knight wishes to discourage outside intervention.
So Jason Todd plants bombs around the city, as we all know, and threatens the other heroes that loom the city that if they try anything, he'll detonate the bombs and blow everything up. Jason was Batman's sidekick for a while. He may have known that people like Constantine was in town, maybe even Martian Manhunter, maybe other heroes like Zatanna or something, and his warning here was meant for them. I feel like this warning could have just been a general one for like police maybe and other outside forces, but he could have been specifically calling out actual threats against him like the aforementioned heroes. It would make sense. I used to think that the Justice League was formed already at this point in the Arkhamverse, but after Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, that doesn't seem to be the case. I don't consider that game canon, but that game at the very least gives me the idea that Arkham Batman has yet to join the League. So this call out here wouldn't really be for the Justice League that doesn't exist, but for perhaps other enhanced beings that Batman has come across, like maybe John Constantine, maybe Martian Manhunter, maybe Zatanna, who knows. Maybe even someone like The Question, who is a key player in Batman Arkham Shadow. Maybe he's in the city at this point in Arkham Knight. And the list of other enhanced people can go on and on and on, but the theory is that Jason is making sure that these people do not interfere, and so he can smoothly initiate his plan against Batman. I know Batman's sidekicks are all working in the background, but I think Jason knows that, but he's just kind of letting it slide because, it's the Bat family. Let me know what you think about this one. So this next theory is in Batman Arkham Origins, and it suggests that Lester Baczynski, the Electrocutioner, was actually not supposed to be one of the assassins to take the bounty, and that he more so took the bounty by force rather than being asked to. So during the cutscene where we see all the assassins take their bounty, most of the other villains have clear-cut scenes of them getting the bounty intended for them. However, for the Electrocutioner, it just kind of looks like he kills someone and takes the bounty off of them. Another point to kind of support this is that all the other assassins are very experienced. Killer Croc, very experienced. Deathstroke, very experienced. Copperhead, experienced. Firefly, probably not experienced, but clearly he was a force to be reckoned with. Bane, OP. Shiva, yes. Deadshot, yes. Electrocutioner, clearly we saw how much he sucked in the game. I think once he took it, Black Mask may have just let him in on the bounty. Another point to support this is the age range of the assassins. Electrocutioner is the youngest one. He's 24 according to the files. He's the youngest of the assassins. The others are older and more experienced. He's more up and coming, so to speak, and him stealing the bounty would be something a younger criminal may do, especially someone as crazy as Lester here. And it's just what made Black Mask want to hire him if Black Mask did hire him? The Electrocutioner sucks and doesn't seem to be as strong as the others. He just has shock gloves, right? There's nothing super important about him. So for someone like Black Mask, or I mean Joker, I meant Joker this entire time. I think I kept saying Black Mask. But for someone like Joker to hire Lester, I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't line up with the other assassins. So it's just food for thought. And I think it would be interesting, more so of lore-wise, if Electrocutioner just took this and took the bounty for himself. So let me know what you think about this one. Keeping on with the assassins in Arkham Origins, there's another theory regarding Lady Shiva. So if you notice, in the Psionic Steel Mill, there are rejected files for 3 assassins. David Kane, an assassin that actually trained Batman, Black Spider, another assassin, and Cheshire, another assassin. All assassins. The one thing all these characters have in common with Shiva is that they are all a part of the League of Assassins. The only assassin assigned to the bounty in the game on this roster is Lady Shiva. So the theory is that the League only sent Lady Shiva after the bounty rather than the other assassins because they did not want to send too many of their warriors. These rejected files, I used to think that Black Mask rejected them, but with this theory, now I'm thinking that the assassins themselves rejected the bounty and only had Lady Shiva go after it. Because if you think about it, why would Black Mask or Joker reject these assassins? These other warriors are strong as hell, they're on par with these other guys, maybe even better. And if Electrocutioner's on the roster, there's no reason these guys wouldn't be. So that's what makes me think that these rejected files are rejected from the assassins themselves. It's interesting because it helps put the Lady Shiva side mission into a better perspective. Shiva just wanted to test Batman, and she even mentions at the end that she's pretty much tasked to do that from the League of Assassins. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for it. Joker wanted to hire all 4 of these League of Assassin guys, but the League rejected all but Lady Shiva, and they only did that to test Batman to see if he is worthy. It's really interesting. I like to kind of like the side mission more from Lady Shiva now that I have this perspective. Let me know what you think about this one. This next theory heavily suggests that Thomas Elliot performed the surgery on the Abercrombie twins to separate them into what we see them as in Arkham City, all the way back in Batman Arkham Origins. So Thomas Elliot is the villain Hush, also one of Bruce's longtime quote-unquote friends. So in Batman Arkham Origins, Alfred has a ton of dialogue with Bruce in the Batcave. A lot of it's optional. There's one where he mentions Thomas Elliot. Check this out.
Sir, Mr. Elliot called earlier. He was hoping you might phone him back.
What did he say?
Well, something about a pair of twins and successful surgery. He wanted to celebrate. At least, I think that's what he wanted.
What do you mean, you think?
His speech was slurred. I suppose he'd gone ahead and started without you.
I assume you told him I'd have to take a rain check.
Indeed, though he sounded none too pleased about it.
Well, that's Thomas. I'll call him back tomorrow.
So Thomas wanted to talk to Bruce about some successful surgery on twins, and since Bruce didn't answer, he became erratic, it seems. These twins could very well be Hammer and Sickle. It's never confirmed in the games who separated them, according to their character bios anyway. But Thomas being a top-tier surgeon, and with the fact that he's trying to perfect his craft, it would make sense for him to experiment on people like the twins. Now, for a lot of people, this may not seem like a theory because it's heavily implied, but it's never confirmed. And Arkham Origins takes place so far before Arkham City that it could just be a simple reference. But it is justifiable to be a theory that he does separate the twins here. However, in their Arkham City story, it mentions that Joker heard tales of a conjoined Hammer and Sickle and wanted them to be his brutes. So, to put the timeline in perspective, if Joker and Harley got to them when they were conjoined first, then it wouldn't really make sense for Thomas to separate them here in the prequel game of Arkham Origins. But still, even if that were true, the theory could exist, maybe Thomas did perform surgery on them at some point in the future, after Arkham Origins. It would take a professional like him to do that for the twins, so who knows? Let me know what you think about this one. This next theory suggests that Jack Ryder turned into the Creeper at some point in Batman Arkham City to defend himself. So the Creeper is the alternate ego of Jack. He turns into this like yellow monster looking thing that's actually an ally to Batman at some points. He's kind of an anti-hero in a way. In Arkham City, it is confirmed the Creeper does exist through this audio tape.
The people spoke. They said they were sick of crime in Gotham. They said they didn't want to place their safety, their children's safety, in the hands of vigilantes like Batman, Nightwing, and there's at least one more.
The Huntress. The Creeper?
Whoever.
However, Jack never turns into the Creeper in the games, nor does he ever reference it when his life is in danger. I've talked about this before. There's a theory going on that maybe he's unaware of his transformations, and he just doesn't remember what's going on or what happens when he wakes up, like he doesn't have any recollection. In Arkham City, in the beginning of the game, he's getting beat up when we go to save him as Batman. This is optional, by the way. But since this is the beginning of the game, we can chalk that up to him not transforming right away, maybe because Batman gets there first. Another thing to note is that we also saved Jack Ryder from Deadshot, although he was unaware of almost being killed there, so it would kind of make sense he doesn't transform here. But we get to meet up with Jack again after this. He goes to the church to take refuge, and in the church, we can see that he seems to be cut free. There's no real scratches or damage on him. This has people thinking that maybe he transformed at some point in Arkham City and then reverted back. There's a side mission in the game on saving political prisoners. Jack Ryder could identify as a political prisoner, but we never see him in the mission because he's just not a part of it. Maybe in his case, he transformed and took the guys out, beating him up before any real damage could take place, and moved on to the church after. There's not a whole lot to go off of, it's kind of more of speculation, but considering the Creeper is name dropped in an audio tape, and that Jack Ryder's in the game, who knows, man? Maybe he did transform into a Creeper in Arkham City to save himself at some point, and with him in the church having no real bruises or cuts or anything, that could help to support that. Let me know what you think about this one. Okay, so this next series doesn't have too much evidence either to support it, but at the same time, it's totally possible. So the theory is that if Batman just told the Riddler that he, Edward, is better than him, Batman, then the Riddler would be a good member of society and actually probably be more productive, or at the very least, not be this huge threat in Gotham City. As we see in the Arkham games, Riddler is constantly being a threat to his city with the purpose of proving he's better than Batman. If Batman were to simply just say, "You win, Riddler, you are better than me, I concede," then perhaps Edward would simply not make these death traps to prove himself of that. If Batman can just make Riddler feel superior in any way, then maybe Riddler would be a good guy, kind of. Now, would this make Riddler just turn into a good guy just like that? Probably not, especially what we learn about Riddler from what Batman diagnoses him with here.
Another one? What's Eddie's problem?
Fanatic narcissism, egocentrism, and megalomania, crossed with severe obsessive compulsion.
Thanks.
Don't mention it.
So yeah, Riddler might still be a bad guy, or maybe he would just turn to a better person at the very least. Riddler in the games always seemed to think he was superior to everyone else and never needed anyone else's approval other than Batman's. And because of his obsession with Batman, innocent people get hurt in trying to achieve that goal. So yeah, if Batman just told Riddler he was superior, it may flip a switch that would maybe put Riddler down a better path, all things considered. Maybe not just be a straight up good person, but be a better person. Or at the very least, keep Gotham a little more safe. I think it would, honestly. You let me know what you think about this one as well. But those are 10 theories from the Arkham games. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if any sucked as well. Let me know if any are cool or your favorites. Make sure to like, make sure to sub, make sure to share. Follow me on Twitter, please. I'm trying to get those numbers up, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, and peace.